Hey everybody, Dr. Joe again on this cold Wednesday evening here in the Washington, D.C. area. I hope you are doing well wherever you are. And so I've got another great session scheduled for today. And we're going to talk about market cycles, all about market cycles today. And as you all know, real estate goes through ups and downs, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Now, you're probably wondering, why am I covering this topic? Well, it's very important because if you are, buying in a good market, then prices generally go up and people are excited. It's a good time to sell. And when you are in a down market, people are being a lot more conservative, a lot more reserved. And therefore, if you're trying to sell, it's not the greatest time. If you're trying to buy, it's a good time, and so on. So there are different strategies that make the most sense during different phases of the real estate and the business life cycle. All things, based. I've been through 5 cycles during my, real estate, career, I suppose, and so I've been through this thing several times, and there are ways to make money in each cycle, regardless whether it's up and down. But one thing I do know is that if you're on the wrong side of the cycle, it's not good. It's ugly. A lot of people have lost a lot of money because they bought high and can't sell because the market turned on them, and so on. So that's what we're gonna. That's the reason why we're covering it today. I think it's a very, very important topic, and I'm gonna have a lot of action items that you and I can implement as part of this live stream. So it's going to be a good one, and so on. Before I get too far, I just want to say that we had a great event on Saturday, last Saturday. One of my students' properties, famous properties here in Washington D.C. We had a great turnout. It's a full house, and a lot of great interaction, great networking, great information that was shared, and it was good. So I'm looking forward to the next one, which will probably be sometime in the new year, early new year. And so if you missed this one, please join us for the next one. We had folks traveling from near and far. I think the furthest today, last week, was somebody came from Illinois, drove from Illinois all the way to Washington D.C. for this event. So thanks a lot, guys, and so on. So anyway, let's get back down to why we're covering today. So seasonal surges, capitalizing on real estate market cycles. And the first thing, I think, as I said before, is really understanding real estate market cycles. And so I'm going to start with the basics first of all. So in the realm of real estate investing, success, your success, my success, really hinges on the ability to navigate the cyclical nature of the markets. We know markets goes through ups and downs. Real estate is no different than business cycles, stock market, or whatever it is. It's not always up, 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 up. It goes up, 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 down, 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 and so forth. So it goes through cycles, and these cycles, result in periodic fluctuations in property values, in demand, and also in rental rates. The cycles changes, and it has a factor on property values, the demand for buying and selling, and also on the rental rates. So these things are really influenced by a myriad of factors, including things like economic conditions, interest rates. We all know about interest rates, and also the demographic shifts. So interest rates, we all know, as I said before, in a couple of years ago, interest rates were like 2-3%, and then suddenly they shot up to 6, 7, 8%, and that took a real toll on the real estate markets. People were priced out, and people decided, well, I'm not going to give up my 3% loan and exchange that for a 7%, so they stayed put. So it had an impact on the real estate market, and also things like demographics. What's going on in your local area will have an impact on that. I mean, a business can go out, and as a result of that, boom, people are moving because people want to move to where the jobs are. If there are no jobs where you are, people are going to move somewhere else. So you're at the mercy of demographic shifts as well. So a lot of different things that affect cycles. And but you know, it's really important that you have strategies for each stages. Now, you know me, I'm a long-term player. So I like to buy houses and keep them for a long, long time. So I don't really get too caught up on the short-term fluctuations. You know, what's going on this week, next month, or whatever it is, because I'm holding my properties for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. So I really don't need to be so much concerned about that. However, if you are more into a short-term strategy, then you are definitely need to understand the nature of cycles, because you could buy a house during the good times, fix it up, and try and sell it, and the market is turned on you. A lot of people have gone through that, and I've been through that before many, many years ago. And you certainly don't want to be the last guy. You certainly don't want to be the guy standing up when the music stops, as they say. So, so you need to recognize the signs and adjust your investment strategy accordingly. Okay, so this involves not just keen observation of the market, but also an understanding of the broader economic indicators that are taking place in the economy. So a well-informed investor like you and I can capitalize on opportunities presented during each phase of the cycles, you know, whether it's the boom or bust or whatever you want to call it. But the unpredictability of market cycles means that even the most experienced investors can face challenges. We can get caught on the wrong side or short stepped during a market cycle shift. And so these changes can be sudden, but typically there are signs, there are economic indicators that if you're looking out for them, you'll know that something is going on, something is changing, and therefore, hopefully you can adapt your strategy, accordingly. So what we're going to do today is talk about some of these, cycles, the ups and downs, what causes them, and what you can do as a savvy investor to profit and take advantage of some of these different things. Okay, so let's go to the first thing, which is recognizing market phases. And what do I mean by that? It means identifying the ebb and flow of real estate cycles. Identify the ebb and flow, the comings and goings of real estate cycles. So what do I mean by that? Real estate market typically, cycles typically are broken into 4 phases. Okay, 4 distinct phases. And what are these 4? One is what we call expansion. That's when, I'll get through each one. I'll just list the 4 first. Expansion is number 1. Peak, we're hitting the top now. And contraction, which means that we're on the downside now. And then we go through a trough where it's kind of bottomed out. So again, you got the expansion going up, peak hitting the max, contraction, and then the trough at the bottom. Okay, they're the 4 phases. So during the expansion phase, the market experiences growth. We're going up, okay, and property values rise, demand increases, demand for real estate increases, and new developments. Everyone's building. The builders are going crazy. Flippers are getting to the market. Everyone's getting in because it's good times, okay, and this phase often follows an economic recovery. So we've gone through a bad patch, and the economy has turned itself around, and now it's on the upswing. So we kind of go into the expansion. The economy is expanding, it's getting bigger, okay? And typically things like increased employment, consumer confidence, demand for real estate, okay? These are some of the signs that's taking place. So the peak phase is characterized by things like higher property values and higher rentals, okay? Rent's going up, property values are going up as well. And so if you want to profit from this, this is a good time to sell, okay? A good time to sell your properties because there's a lot of buyers. And if you're into leasing, especially long-term lease, this is a good time to lease your properties because there's a lot of people moving around, a lot of people who are looking to rent and so on. So, however, the peak can be very short-lived. Not all good things come to an end, so you don't know how long it's going to be, but it could be very, very short-lived, okay? And because you get into a situation with saturation. As you may recall, in the last few years, the market was real hot. It it was booming. Interest rates was low. Everybody got into real estate investing. People were into bidding wars. If you had a house for sale, you get 5, 10, 15, 20 offers, sight unseen. Buyers were, no contingencies, and all these kind of different things was going on. Okay. So, but all good things come to an end. So it ended. And what does that mean? It means that, if you want to survive, you got to, be very vigilant. And because if you misjudge, and you may end up with an overpriced property that you're trying to get rid of, and you can't because the market's turned on you. So the contraction phase follows the peak. Okay, so we've got to the peak, is now going to the contraction phase, is going down, and that's marked by a decrease in demand and also potentially a decrease in property values. Now, that what's going on in the West Coast, especially places like San Francisco and Boise, Idaho, Austin, and some of these other places, they're experiencing contraction in the real estate. There's a reduced level of demand, and so prices are going down. Okay, again, if you bought at the peak and you're trying to sell it, this is not a good time. You could lose money, not gain money. So as an investor, this is a good time to buy, because there's a lot fewer competition, fewer people who are buying, and therefore sellers, hopefully, not always, become a lot more reasonable in terms of what they're asking for. So if you're an astute buyer, this is a good time to negotiate hard. This is the time to enter the market, and hopefully you can buy at a low price. Now, that's on the assumption you're going to hold on to this thing until the market picks up again, whenever that's going to be. Okay, so if you're cautious, this is a good time to acquire at lower prices. And finally, the trough, which is the bottom, it's really the bottom of the market cycle, and property values and demand are the lowest, making it a really ideal time to, if you really want to purchase, this is the time to buy. And as long as you can hold on to this thing, and for the long haul until the market picks up. Okay, so obviously to be able to survive and to be able to buy, you're going to have some financial resources. You got to have money. You got to have access to money, and that's also another strategy that you can pursue as well, is to make sure that you got the funds to be able to acquire and the funds to be able to survive during this sort of transition phase until the market turns back. So understanding these phases and their indicators allows you, me, as savvy investors, to make more informed decisions as to whether to buy, whether to sell, whether to hold, or whether to improve the property through renovations. So that's what, a quick summary of the 4 phases. So what are the action items coming out of this? For you and I, regularly review market reports and trends. Be aware of what's going on in the market. Align your investment strategies with the current market phase. So if you're in expansion, peak, contraction, or trough, you kind of have to modify your strategy accordingly. Stay cautious around peaks phases to avoid kind of over investing, buying too many during the peak times. Look for buying opportunities during the trough phase. These are the action items that you can do as savvy investors during the different phases of the market cycles. Now, let's talk about mitigating risk during downturns. So we're kind of going through the contraction and the trough phase. What are some of the strategies that you can pursue in order to mitigate or reduce or limit your risks during these downturns? Okay, so downturns, as we all know, it always happens. I mean, all good things come to an end, as I said before, and therefore we will enter at some point the contraction and the trough phase. That is very, very specific to the area that you're in geographically, because not all areas within the country experience the same. So, for example, in the Washington, D.C. area, prices aren't really going down at all. In fact, they're still going up. And even though the market's slow, reason being that there's just a shortage of inventory. So prices really aren't going down at all. It may take a little bit longer to sell, but prices generally are holding their own. So, but contraction and trough phases, they do pose significant challenges if you're not careful. Okay. So, however, they do, present opportunities, and if you are savvy enough to take advantage of some of these things. So, the first, in my opinion, one of the first lines of defense during the downturn is diversification. Diversification, it could be in the type of properties that you have, it could be the location of the properties, and the strategy you tend to employ. As you know, I do Section 8. That is primarily because I've been through cycles. I know what it's like to have a place empty because the market's turned on you and you're trying to rent it and you can't. Or you're in a house, you got a tenant who the tenant's not paying you for whatever reason. Okay, so the reason why I do Section 8 is because for the most part, voucher holders tend to stay longer. So they tend to be able to ride through these different market phases. And because of that, if you're a good landlord, you got a good property in a good location, they just tend to stay longer. And the good ones, the tier ones, tenants, which I strive for, tend to take care of the property, pleasant to deal with, pay their rent, and and so on. So that's the reason why I do that. Is because I've been through cycles before and having difficulty trying to find tenants, or tenants who lose their jobs and now can't pay their rent, and now you have zero income coming through, and so on. It's not a good time. It's ugly. I've been there, done that. And so on. So diversification, it could be in strategy, location, and different things like that. That's a the other thing is is to have enough cash reserves. So you can at least weather the storm. A lot of people are overextended, and therefore when something happens, things like maintenance, unexpected maintenance, or unexpected turnover, or can't find tenants, or other expenses kick in, they have a really, really hard time, and they could lose because they just don't have the reserves to be able to survive that. So another good strategy during downturns is to make sure you have adequate reserves. That's going to tie you through just in the event that you have some situations that occur. And also, be wary that sometimes during downturns, your rental income may go down. Tenants can't pay you for whatever reason. They've lost their jobs, or they have to move somewhere else, and therefore you got vacancies. So it's kind of risky. So how do you protect yourself? You want to focus on properties which I call strong fundamentals. They're in desirable locations. There's good amenities and infrastructure nearby, shopping, recreation, transportation, those kind of things. And as a result of that, they're more likely to retain their value. And when the market, they're able to pick up when the market eventually turns around. So, so as I said before, as a buy and hold investor, you want to invest in properties in areas where stable, there's employment centers, and there's a growing rental demand. People are moving in because the economy is stronger, because there are jobs there. So, if you're buying, you can negotiate much better, stronger. You're in an upper hand because you have access to money, and there's less competition generally during downturns, and allowing you as a savvy investor to be able to purchase properties at lower prices, in theory anyway, not always, during downturns. And however, if you're going to be buying, you may make sure that you do your due diligence to ensure that the property that you're buying has a potential for appreciation. And the other thing is you could do is to renovate your properties and to make it more attractive to potential sellers, and also to potential buyers, renters. I'm sorry, and so on. So, what are some of the action items? During what we just covered, I kind of talked about strategies for weathering the market contractions. That's what I've just been spending a few minutes on. So in terms of action items that you can do to mitigate your risk during downturn, one, diversify your real estate portfolio to mitigate risk, maintain a robust cash reserves for financial flexibility, focus on properties with strong long-term fundamentals. 4, look for negotiation opportunities you can buy to acquire properties at better prices, and also consider renovating existing properties to make them more attractive, especially for rentals and so on, acquiring tenants. Okay, number 3 is the thing we're going to talk about is maximizing your gains in the growth phase. So we just talked about the downturn, and now we're going to talk about how can you profit during the growth phases, which is the expansion and the peak phases of the market. So, okay, so what we're going to do, talk about leveraging opportunities in a booming market. We've just gone through a booming phase post-COVID. And what are some of the things that savvy people did during those boom times? Well, as we all know, prices went up. Rental rates typically went up as well. And so it's a good time to sell if you're looking to sell, because there's a lot of buyers out there giving these crazy no contingencies, buying houses sight unseen, multiple bidding wars, multiple offers. I mean, these are the good times if you're looking to sell. And so on. So keep an eye on the neighborhoods, emerging neighborhoods and market trends. That's something you can capitalize on, and sort of buy in areas where it's likely to appreciate rapidly. Also, if you want to, that is, I mean, I'm not saying you have to, but these are good times to refinance because the properties values have gone up. There's a lot of equity in there, and there are opportunities to pull some equity out, especially if you want to acquire properties or want to wait or build a reserve, or wait until the market turns on you and then buy then. So there are definitely refinancing opportunities during boom times, and because you got a lot of equity, and you can also expand your portfolio accordingly. However, you got to be careful about overextending yourself financially, i.e. pulling too much equity, because if the market turns, then you have now no equity or negative equity, and that's not good, because obviously negative equity means that if you sell the property, you're going to lose money, and so on. So it's really important to have a balanced approach in terms of how much equity or cash to pull out these properties if you decide you want to refinance. Renovating is a good time because obviously you can make the house better, prettier, and therefore be able to sell accordingly. And you can also do what we call strategic improvements. So what are some of the action items associated during the maximize during the boom phases? Identify and invest in emerging neighborhoods early. Consider refinancing to leverage increased property values. Balance the pursuit of profit with caution against market shifts. Okay, don't get too excited and just pull your money out. Invest in strategic property improvements to enhance the value of your house. So that's number 3. Again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. We're going to go to Q&A. Ask Dr. Joe in about a few more minutes. So if you got some questions you want to ask me, pick my brain, as they say, please, enter your questions in the chat box, and I'll definitely try to get to them very, very shortly, about 5 or 10 minutes from now. Okay. So let's go to number 4, which is long-term strategies, long-term investment strategies. As you know, I'm a long-term player as opposed to a short-term player. So I'm going to talk about some of the long-term investment strategies that you may want to consider, and so on. So successful long-term strategies to weather all the markets. This begins with selecting the right properties based on what I call strong fundamentals. It's all about you buying the right property. That's the absolute key, because if you buy the right property at the right price in the right neighborhood location, time will take care of the rest. Okay, so location becomes very, very important. Property condition becomes important. Obviously, the best way to get better deals is to buy houses that need work, because there's less competition. So property condition is important, and the ability to get steady rental income is important. How attractive, how easy is it to get tenants? That's important. Such properties are more likely to produce stable returns and appreciate over time regardless of the short-term, fluctuation. As I say, if you take a long-term view, if you pick the right locations and the right condition, and and it's a desirable place to get tenants, time will take care of the rest, because you don't get too caught up in the short-term fluctuations. Well-maintained properties obviously attract and retain tenants, but also command higher resale value. This proactive approach to property management, it kind of protects your asset, and it makes your asset more competitive and lucrative if you want to sell. And also, the other thing is, long-term viability means that you got to be savvy financially. I call it financial prudence. How about that? Financial prudence. Avoid over leveraging if possible. Managing your debt to income or debt to equity for your properties ratios. So that way you can withstand downturns when they occur. Build a network of, careful planning about your financial capacity. How many can you really buy? Do you have the reserves to, buy 1, 2, 3, 4, X number of properties? That's important, because you don't want to overextend yourself. And then when the market turns on you, you're now spread too thin, especially financially. And also, it's a good thing to build the relationships, build a network of real estate professionals, agents, brokers, advisors, contractors, and things like that, because they can give you valuable insights into opportunities that may exist. And these relationships, I can never underestimate the value of relationships. They can give you early information about what's going on, market trends, and also potential investment properties. Okay, so long-term strategy is all about that. And let's have a look, and so on. So next thing we're going to talk about is market timing. Timing the market. Timing the market. If I knew, I'll time the market all the time, but I don't know. Okay, it's really a delicate art of market timing in real estate. It's not easy. Most people can't do it, so I'm not going to really recommend that you do that. But anyway, time, for those people who think that they can time the market, timing is really it's a risky endeavor, because you may be wrong, and now you're stuck. Okay, while it can lead to significant returns when executed correctly, it also carries a risk of really misjudging market movements. Okay, the key to successful market timing is really a deep understanding of the market, market indicators and trends, combined with a readiness to act when the conditions are favorable to you. So you need to study the market trends, market fundamentals, market indicators, and things like that. And when it makes sense, then you move in. You got to be ready. You got to have the financial wherewithal. You got to have the team, the systems, all in place, such that if an opportunity arises, you can execute and pull in fast. So market time is not always feasible. Economic factors, things like, so many different variables. You got economic factors, you got policy changes, you got global events. I mean, there's wars like Ukraine and Israel. There's disturbances going on in those locations. They can affect the markets. And so it's real difficult to predict, peaks and troughs accurately, because there's just so many different variables that kick in. Therefore, a balanced approach is really, the way to go, which kind of balances the timing with long-term investment strategies. Don't get too caught up in short-term. You can do a hybrid where you do some short-term and some long-term. So I kind of have a balance. One approach to market timing, though, is investing during the early stages of an expansion. So when the market is going up at the early stages, after we've gone through the trough and things are picking up, you could buy then, because the market's going up generally, and it may be able to increase the appreciation of your particular property. So lots of things to monitor, and employment rates, housing starts, interest rates, and all those different things, they come into play. Selling during the peak can maximize your returns, obviously, but it requires you to carefully monitor what's going on in the environment and avoid selling, obviously, at a loss, or too early or too late. And so really it depends on your ability or flexibility to adjust, and adjust quickly during the changes, and you're adjusting in response to the market changes. So what are some of the action items associated with timing the market? Study the market trends and indicators to identify potential timing opportunities, balance market timing strategies with long-term investment approaches, consider buying early in the expansion phase and selling during the peak, and stay flexible and be ready to adjust your portfolio in response to market shifts. And then finally, we're going to go to number 6, which is a short one, which is really the role of economic indicators. I wanted to bring that into the mix because it's important. And how do you interpret some of these economic, factors? In short, anyway, economic indicators are really like the compass that should be guiding you as investors through ever-changing market landscape and through market cycles. There are indicators that, if you're savvy enough, you can look at things like GDP, gross domestic product, GDP growth, unemployment rates, inflation, interest rates, housing data. These are all indicators. If you've got time, you can monitor these things because it gives you a heads up as to what's coming down the pike. If you're good, their analysis provides insights about the health of the economy and the potential impact of that economy with real estate markets. Interest rates obviously are particularly influential in real estate. We all know that. We've gone through that. Low interest rates generally encourage greater demand, greater buying and refinancing opportunities, leading to increased demand and rise in property values. Likewise, higher interest rates, they can and they do dampen the market, leading to a slowdown in the market. So what are some of the action items before we wrap it up? Regularly monitor key indicators, understand the implications of these indicators on real estate, and adjust your investment strategies in response to economic changes. And then finally, we're going to wrap it up with the conclusion. So I've been talking for about 45 minutes. 30 minutes, I suppose. So what do I have to say about all this? Understanding and navigating real estate cycles market is complex. It's not easy, but it can be very crucial, especially if you have strategies that are more short term in nature, because you can sort of adapt based on the realities of the marketplace. But me, I don't really get too caught up into that. I just buy it, hold it, and just keep it. And therefore, I'm talking about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25-year holds. And therefore, I'm not really too concerned about what's going on this week, this month, or even this year, because I'm going to hold it anyway. And what's more important to me is make sure I have a property in a location where I can attract quality tenants who are going to pay me, take care of the property, pleasant to deal with, and stay a long time. That's me. And I do that through Section 8 because it's a guaranteed income stream as long as you got somebody in your house. So, while no strategy is foolproof, there's nothing foolproof. Informed decision making, I think, based on market dynamics, can enhance your success, regardless of the market conditions. So, no strategy is foolproof. But if you stay on top of the market, you can increase the chance of your success. So remember, real estate market is cyclical and it's unpredictable, but success lies in a balanced and I think an informed approach to all of this. So that's my summary of that one. So hopefully today was a good session for you. It's all about real estate market cycles, and we talked about capitalizing on the different market cycles as it goes through the different phases: expansion, peak, contraction, and trough. My friends, that is it. So put your questions in the chat box and I'll get to them shortly. If you want to email me, feel free to shoot me an email at joe@joeasamoah.com and I'll try to get to you. So if you want to pick my brain now, please join me and put your questions in the comment box and in the chat box, sorry, and I'll see what I can do to answer them. Okay, let's have a look. Who's here today? Karim. Hey, Dr. Joe. How was the event on Saturday? Saturday's event was fantastic. It was great. You know, we had a good turnout. We had full capacity, in fact, and great interaction. Great questions. We walked through a property that Femi, one of my students, is going through right now in Washington, D.C. We kind of went through room by room, especially in the basement. And it was a good session. I really, really enjoyed it. We had great food, we had great refreshments. And so we'll be sharing some of the videos and on social media once we get it back from the videographer and the photographer. So we had a good time. Please join me on the next one. Don't miss it. It's these are real great events, and we have people coming from near and far. One person, as I said before, came from Illinois, drove in from Illinois. Dow too, greetings from Phoenix, Texas. How are you, sir? I think it's a sir. But I hope you're doing well in Texas. I'm sure it's warmer than here. It's cold over here. Greetings from Texas. Get Loibster again. Hi, how you doing, guys? Greetings from Texas. Let's have a look. We viewed a property this week. This is from Get Loibster. And out of concern for the poor tenant. We viewed a property this week, and out of concern for the poor tenant whose space a lot of us will walk in and out of, I wondered how landlords negotiate property showings with their tenants. Okay, let's have a look. Miss Understand it. We viewed a property this week, and out of concern for the poor tenant whose space a lot of us will walk in and out of, I wondered how landlords negotiate property. Okay, so I think I got it. So you're trying to show a house, and one of your tenants is occupying it. So you're trying to ask me what suggestions do I have to offer if you're trying to show a property where you have tenants. A couple of things. One is make sure that you have a good relationship with the tenant, because they can be difficult, and also they can affect your potential sale. If they go in there and talk bad about you, talk bad about the property when you're not there, it's not a good sign. So you got to incentivize the tenant, I think, to cooperate. You may want to give them a piece of the action. You may want to give them some money. You want to give them some, something that makes it worth their while to be cooperative. They put you out there as a good guy. They put you out there as a property as a good property. Obviously, you don't want them to lie, but you want them to cooperate with you, provide access when when there's a showing. I've heard of stories where tenants have just been difficult. They're not even letting people show their property, their homes. So whilst they're in there, you can't show it. So what you do, you get them out and then show it. So so it depends. So it's always better to have a good relationship with your tenant. That's why I invest so much time on that. In fact, this week I sent all my tenants my Christmas presents, holiday presents, and all of them. Again, good customer service. I want to let them know I appreciate them, and got some nice what's it called, Christmas presents I gave to my tenants this year. So that's what I do to get the cooperation. But yeah, you want cooperation, Get Lobster, such that hopefully there's an incentive for the tenant to provide access to their home, and also for them to say good things about you, and also say good things about the property. Everybody wants to know what's in it for me. So make it worth their while. Would you go fewer than 3 bedrooms for properties you plan to put Section 8 tenants in? Please explain why, yes or no. I typically buy, in this area, 3-bedroom homes, because that's pretty much the standard size here. And then I add bedrooms, especially in the basements. And I think sometimes you can add a bedroom in the attic. I try to keep the existing footprint. I'm not trying to expand either up or down or back and forth or left, right, and so on. I work with the existing infrastructure or the existing property, layout. And so 3 bedrooms, I'm able to turn them into 4, 5, and 6. I generally don't buy less than 3 because there's just not enough square footage to make it worth my while. So it's got to have minimum 3 bedrooms. Also, it's got to have a basement, at least for here. and you've also got to be able to expand increase, the number of bedrooms in the house. So I don't generally buy less than 3. Get lobster. Okay, ready. Thank you, Dr. Joe. You're welcome. Let's have a look. Next one. Again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. I'll try to get them very, very shortly. We've got a few more minutes left, and so on. Motor City Car Cult. Hey, Dr. Joe, great session. Any guidance on ensuring you don't run out of money during renovations? How do you know if you have enough of a cushion for the unknowns that may come up during the renovations? You don't know, really. I mean, to answer your question directly, you don't know, how much it's going to cost you. But one thing I do know, though, when I do renovation, based on my 30 plus years experience, is that 3 things is going to happen when you do a renovation, especially the major renovations. 1, it's going to cost you more money than what you thought. So you better have some reserves. And if you're going to have some reserves, make sure that, you got 10, 15, 20% extra just in case. So it's going to cost you more than what you thought. The second thing is that it's going to take you longer than what you thought it was going to take you. I've never done a project where I was pleasantly surprised because I did it in less time. That's not happened to me. It usually takes longer than what I anticipated. And 3, at some point during the relationship with your contractor, you're going to have a falling out. You're going to have a difference of opinion. You're going to have disagreements, usually over money. And you as a savvy investor, you can always turn that ship around. You can turn it around. But you're going to have an issue with your contractor, problems with your contractor. And then you're going to have to decide what you're going to do. Either you're going to turn it around, as I said before, you're either going to fire them and get somebody else. I can tell you this: firing somebody and getting somebody else doesn't usually save you any money. It ends up costing you more money. So it's usually better to just work with the contractor and to turn it around. But to answer your question specifically, I would say you want at least 10, 15, 20% buffer on your budget. So if the project's 100,000, 15% is 15,000, 20% is 20,000. So you set aside, $20,000, $15,000, $20,000 extra for unknowns, for variables, for these scope changes and things like that happen on all projects. So hopefully that was helpful. I guess a good question today. V Hodges, again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box and I'll try to get to you as soon as possible. I get a little tired now, so I've had a long day, so I've been up since 5 a.m. V Hodges, if we want to add a bedroom in the basement, what is the criteria for a bedroom as required by Section 8? Does the bedroom have to have a window, closet, etc.? Yes. Okay, so you can't just turn a closet into a bedroom because you want to and you want to get extra rent. So there are legal requirements, code requirements of a bedroom. And typically there are about 4 or 5 requirements. 1 is the size. And typically it's a minimum of 70 square feet for a bedroom. 70 square feet. So you can't have a closet and say that's a bedroom because it's just not big enough. So even 70 square feet is pretty small. And the crazy thing is that, I've seen some land investors who have houses where every bedroom is around 70 square feet. So it's real small. And for a lot of people, that's just not big enough. It's not enough space. So size is number 1. 2 is it's got to have a minimum height. So typically it's around 6'10", and preferably 7 foot is what a lot of places are looking for. So you can't have a bedroom where it's only 5 foot high. People have to be crawling around. It's got to have a certain minimum height. Third thing, it's got to have what we call light and ventilation. So you got to have a window or a source of light and a source of ventilation going in and out of that room. 4, it's got to have what we call egress two forms of egress. What that means is that in the event of an emergency, there has to be two ways to get out. Typically, it's the door that you entered the room in, and the second one could be another door that leads outside, or it could be a window, and the window has to be a certain size, minimum size, what we call egress windows. So that way, if somebody has to get out of the window, then the window is big enough to allow this person to get out. You don't want the window too small, and the window it's got to be above, I think it's 40 or 42 inches from the ground. So it can't be one of those small little windows way up there towards the ceiling. It's got to be a minimum size window, and there's a distance requirement from the floor to the base or the bottom of that window. It's got to have an electrical outlet. It's got to have a closet. And that's another, these are other, yeah, as I say, it's got to have a window, and you can't go from one bedroom to another bedroom, i.e. you can't go to bedroom B, and the only way to get to bedroom B is through bedroom A. They won't allow that. It's got to have separate access without having to go through another bedroom. So these are it's got to have an electrical outlet, as I said before, at least one outlet, preferably two or more. And so these are, you can't have a gas. I mean, there's so many different more. There's can't have a gas meter in there, and so on. It's got to have a closet. I think I said that, or at least a place to store your clothes. It could be a wardrobe. So in a nutshell, V. Hodges, this is my take on the requirements for Section 8 to have a legal bedroom. Hopefully that was helpful. Oh, any more else? I'm going to wrap it up because I'm tired. You can probably see my eyes almost closing. So I'm going to wrap it up today. I hope that today was a good session. I really enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned a lot about market cycles and how they work and what you can do to prosper in a changing market environment. And I've been through 5 of these things. So again, if you want to shoot me an email, I can reach at joe@joeasamoah.com, joe@joeasamoah.com. And I'm going to wrap it up. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up. So I'll see you guys next Wednesday. It's going to be, today's what, 20th? So next Wednesday is 27th. So it's going to be after Christmas Day. So have yourself a wonderful Christmas or holiday, or whatever religious, festivals that you celebrate. Please have yourself a safe holiday season, and spend quality time with family and friends, because at the end of the day, what are you chasing? And you got to prioritize what's important. And chasing money is not really that important in the scheme of things. It's really people and doing good, and friends, family, and also just be nice. Be a nice person. How about that? So with that said, my friends, I hope that you have a wonderful holiday season, Christmas season, and I'll see you on the 27th next Wednesday, and I'll have a short Wealth Wednesday, and I'll see you then. So my friends, I'll see you later, and have yourself a wonderful day, a wonderful evening, I suppose. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care. Bye for now.